Hello everybody, welcome back again to another Gloomhaven guide video. Today we're talking about the Phoenix or 2 Minis class. Spoiler warning, if you haven't played the game, you want to be surprised by the new character unlocks, now's your chance to turn away, but for everybody else, let's go ahead and jump right in. Okay, so here we are with the Beast Tyrant. Now, the Beast Tyrant is probably one of my least favorite classes, to be honest. He is a very interesting class to play, but also a very difficult and sometimes frustrating class because of the mechanic of your bear here. So you have your Beast Tyrant, which is your character, and then you have a permanent summons that's with you automatically at the beginning of every scenario, the bear, and you're going to have different cards that have commands where you can actually essentially you play your turn through your bear by giving them a command and moving or attacking with them instead of using your character. But your bear still takes his turn as a summons before you take yours, moving towards an enemy, attacking if he can, which usually puts him in a pretty bad spot because he moves right up into a bunch of enemies and takes a bunch of hits. So early on, especially in the first few levels, he can be really hard to play. Once you get to level 5, though, we'll talk about a card that makes it a lot easier. So let's go ahead and jump in then and talk about the cards and a little bit more about this character. So first up, initiative-wise, we do have some better initiatives into the teens with the Beast Tyrant, so we can go a little bit earlier, and the later ones with 81, 79, which is useful for controlling when our bear goes, trying to keep him out of trouble as much as possible. So let's talk about Disorienting Roar here first with the top. So as you can see, it says command there, which means this is a command card. That means your bear is performing this action, not you, not your character. So he muddles and immobilizes, target all enemies within range 2, gain 1 XP. So not a bad little control card early on to weaken enemies and maybe keep them from getting to your bear if they're not already adjacent. And then the bottom of this one, swap the positions of any 2 characters. Now this is a very niche card. It does have some good uses, but it's very rare. So you can swap any 2 characters. This means you and any of your teammates on your team. So it can swap you to get you up because the Beast Tyrant himself has very, very low mobility. So using this can help swap you back up to get you where you need to be if you're falling behind, but then you're putting one of your allies behind. So it's, again, a very niche situation where you'd want to use that, especially since it burns as well. But then moving on to Spirit Swap, here is another command on top, which is a move 2 for our bear, gain 1 XP. And remember, our bear would have already moved a few on his turn, so it's not shown on screen here, but the bear's base move is 3 and his base attack is 2. So he already moved 3, attacked 2 if he could on his turn, and then on your turn, you can give him another move 2, but this time, with command cards, you control what the bear does. Anytime you use a command card, you get to tell the bear where to move and what to attack. So then the bottom of this one, swap the positions of any 2 enemies. Again, a niche card. This one doesn't burn though. So this can be good for maybe getting a really dangerous enemy away from your bear or away from a teammate, swapping them with a weaker enemy, or even for swapping that tough enemy right into the middle of your entire party so you can all wail on him in one turn and finish him off, especially if he's an enemy that tends to fly away and attack from range. So this again has some niche uses, but it's not going to be something you'll use all the time. Now moving on to Venomous Ally. So this is a summons, and there is a way, I guess, you could play the Beast Tyrant as a full-on summoner and use all these different summons, but I still just don't think it's very powerful. I think it's very weak, because summons in Gloomhaven typically are not very good because low health, they always move towards an enemy. You can't keep them away from an enemy, and unless your team is intentionally trying to move to keep your summons alive all the time and taking hits for them, your summons are going to die really quickly. So this one, for instance, health 4, move 2, attack 1, poison. It's not that great. Health 4, one shot from an enemy can take that out, and it's dead, and you just wasted a burn for nothing. And then attack 1 is really weak. Yeah, it poisons, but I mean, how many times are you going to get that attack off? Probably only once before this thing dies. And then a move 2 isn't going to keep up with your team in most situations. It's going to fall behind, and it's a melee character, so it's not going to be up and able to attack things. I just don't think the summons are very good. The bottom of this one is an attack 2, range 4, and poison. So the Beast Tyrant does have a lot of range attacks. Because his movement is so poor, you're not likely to be in range very often, even with these ranged attacks. So I try to focus, when I play the Beast Tyrant, I focus on my bear, power up my bear, a lot of command cards. I don't do a lot for the Beast Tyrant himself, because really the idea is you're going to start a scenario and the Beast Tyrant is going to stay at the beginning of that scenario and hardly ever move. And you're going to play the scenario through your bear, essentially. Now, on those rare maps where you have to escape and you do have to get somewhere, then you're going to have to trade in what little move cards you have to try and keep your Beast Tyrant up with everybody, but that's going to cost you strength and power from your bear. So Beast Tyrant plays best in maps where you don't need to move. So, moving on to Relentless Ally is another summons Tattered Wolf. Again, health 4, move 3, which is a lot better. It'll definitely keep up with the party, and attack 2, but again, a health 4, it's going to die after 1 or 2 hits, and it's a burn, it goes away, and there's no way to get these back until level 9. You get a card where you could bring these back, unless you have an ally giving you cards back. So, not useful. The bottom is a move 5 though for your Beast Tyrant, so that's good to maybe swap in and out based on the scenario and whether you need movement or not for your Beast Tyrant. And then moving on to Concentrated Rage, attack 1, range 4, and disarm. So this is really good for just disarming an enemy. But again, you're not going to be in range very often for the Beast Tyrant to make use of these cards. Except for those maps where like you're holding down an area and you don't need to move and everything's coming to you. But generally, if you're moving through a scenario, Beast Tyrant attacks aren't going to get used very often. The bottom of this one, however, though, is a very useful card. Because of those Beast Tyrant cards that aren't going to do you any good, you can trade them to give your bear more attack and more move. So the bottom of this allows, before your bear acts, you may forego the top action of your turn to add +3 attack to all your bear's attacks this round. And then the second part is the same thing, but for moves. You can forego the bottom action to give your bear more move. On your bear's turn, which happens right before yours, you can basically give up your whole turn, give it to your bear to give your bear 3 more attack and 3 more move. Which, depending on the situation, can be really useful to get your bear back into position, because he'll move up and have plenty of movement to get to enemies, and then he'll have what would be an attack 5. So this is a really powerful card for buffing up your bear, so I would hang on to it just for that reason, for the bottom of this one. And then Disappearing Wounds is our next card, with heal 4 self and then command attack 2 on the bottom. So this is a good one to hang on to as well, just because if you do take a hit as a Beast Tyrant, being able to heal yourself is good, but also we're going to find out, we're going to talk about it here in a little bit when we get down to Borrowed Essence, but being able to heal yourself can actually be a way to heal your bear. So using this does have some purpose, so we'll hang on to it for a little while. And then the bottom command attack 2 is nice to give our bear potentially 2 more attacks on our turn, because you could have a top attack, a bottom attack. So then moving on to Patch Fur, this one's a good one too for healing our bear. So the top is a shield 1, affect all summoned allies. Now this would be any of your other characters' summoned allies as well. So this shield 1 for all summoned allies could be really useful, but if nothing else, it'll give a shield to your bear. And then the bottom is a heal 4 self for your bear because it's a command card. So this is a good one for getting your bear healed up. You definitely want to have this card, especially in the first few levels, because your bear is going to be taking a beating. You're going to need some heals for him. And then the next one is Maul, which is an attack 4 command card, which is a really good strong attack for our bear. The bottom is a move 3, shield 1, affect 1 adjacent ally for our Beast Tyrant. So it gives us a little bit of move here for our Beast Tyrant. And then we can shield someone, maybe our bear. So this might be like a turn 1 play just to give our bear an extra shield. But the initiative 14 is really nice for helping our bear to go early when we need him to. And then the next card, Forceful Swipe, is an attack 2 in that hits 3 pattern, gain 1 XP. It's really not that great because usually you end up using it only on 1 or 2 enemies. So I really don't like these attack 2s with this pattern very much. The bottom, command as well, with a move 3, push 2, target 1 adjacent enemy. So that has some usefulness, especially if there's traps on the map. You can have our bear push these enemies into traps. And then the next card, Howling Bolts, attack 1, range 4, target 3. So this is for our Beast Tyrant, just a little tiny attack, but it can hit 3 enemies. So it might be good for finishing off something that's weak, that's kind of behind the rest of the party. And then the bottom is a command move 5 for our bear, so that really helps our bear with some mobility if we want to move it into a specific position for its next turn. And then we get into the X cards, where we have Soaring Ally, which is Summon Red Falcon, only 2 health, move 4 and flying, attack 2, but 2 health, this thing's going to die. This thing's going to die in 1 hit. It doesn't even get to take its turn when we summon it. It'll die before we even get to it, probably. So, pretty much useless. The bottom is a loot 1 for our bear, because it's a command card, but still, mostly this card's useless. I wouldn't take this one at all. Focused Aggression, attack 3, range 3 for our Beast Tyrant. That's a good little range attack, but again, because we're not going to be up with our party most of the time, probably, it's not going to be much use to us. The bottom is a command, attack 5, and activates Grass with 2 XP, but it burns. So again, this card just really not... The Beast Tyrant's one of those classes where there are some cards I just think are honestly trash cards. I just don't think they're good for anything. However, the next one, Borrowed Essence, is the card that we'll be taking, and we'll go ahead and take out this summons Venomous Ally to put Borrowed Essence in. Borrowed Essence, the top is an attack 2, range 3. If we have wind, it becomes attack 4, get an experience point, and then the second part of that top is heal 2 on ourself. If we have grass, it's heal 4 on ourself, gain XP. That alone is pretty cool, but again, that's coming from our Beast Tyrant, so not going to get a lot of use out of it. However, the bottom of this card is why we use this card, why we hang on to this card. Redistribute all damage taken by you and all summoned allies however you like. No character may end up with more damage than their maximum hit point value. So what this does is allow you to essentially take health away from your Beast Tyrant and any other summons and give that health to your bear or to another summons or to your Beast Tyrant. However you want to do it, this allows you to essentially play with the damage pool, play with the health pool of your entire summoned cadre and your Beast Tyrant to keep everybody alive. Now, later on, we'll get a card that plays really well with this to almost double the health potential of our bear. So for now, we're going to go ahead and take this, because what we can do is we can take health away from ourselves, from our Beast Tyrant, and then heal ourselves with Disappearing Wounds, so that we can then again use this card to heal our bear. This is how you keep the bear alive, because the bear is going to take a ton of damage. There's nothing you can do to stop it. It's going to run into the middle of enemies. It's going to take damage. That's the frustrating part of this class, is you don't have complete control over your main weapon, which is your bear. So keeping him alive is the best thing you can do as the Beast Tyrant, and this is the best way to do that. So with that said, let's go ahead and move into our leveled cards now and talk about those. So at level 2, we're going to find Energizing Strike or Earth and Spikes. Energizing Strike is an attack 4, strength and self for our bear, because it's a command card. You gain 1 XP, and then the bottom is a heal 1, affect all allies. So the bottom is a nice little heal to get rid of poison and wound on everybody if necessary. And then the Earth and Spikes is an attack 3, range 2, immobilize. It activates grass for our Beast Tyrant. So again, range 2, we're going to have a hard time using that one. And then the bottom is a shield 2 and retaliate 2 for all summoned allies, which again, if we're not playing the summon everything build, then this really isn't that great, because it's just our bear. It's a burn. Now, technically, when it says summoned allies, I do believe that is all summoned allies, so even our other characters' summoned allies would get the benefit of these cards. But still, it's really not that good overall for summons, because they're going to die so fast anyway. I would go Energizing Strike here to power up our bear, and we're going to take out Relentless Ally to throw in Energizing Strike. Now remember, this strengthen on the bear will work for his current turn, and then that you're commanding him in, so your turn, and then his next turn that he takes on his own before your turn comes around again. So you'll want to use this attack for strengthen, and then use a bottom attack to get the benefit of the strengthen if possible. And then on the bear's turn, he'll have strengthen when he attacks with his attack 2. So moving on to level 3 then, we're going to find Vicious Ally or Unstoppable Beast. Vicious Ally is another summons with health 5, move 2, attack 3. It immobilizes on its attacks, but again, it's not a ranged summons, so this thing is probably going to die really quickly, and it's another burn. The bottom is a command, attack 2, target 2 for our bear, which isn't bad because, you know, we can get 2 attacks off with it if we're adjacent to at least 2 things. However, Unstoppable Beast I think is a lot better because it's a command again for our bear on the top, attack 3. If we have grass, it can be attack 4 and gain an XP, and we can attack up to 3 enemies with it. So an upgrade to the attack 2 with the same pattern. With attack 3, it makes more sense if I only use this on 1 enemy, at least it was still an attack 3. But hopefully we're going to get to use it on at least 2. So I think this is a pretty strong card. At the bottom with a move 5 for our Beast Tyrant is nice because we just took out a move 5 that we had from this. So we'll still have that mobility if we need it in a pinch. So we'll take Unstoppable Beast here. And then we'll take out Forceful Swipe, which is the upgrade. The Unstoppable Beast is the upgraded version of Forceful Swipe, essentially. Although we will lose that bottom move for our bear. And we'll put Unstoppable Beast in, though, and then we'll move on to level 4. Now, level 4, we're going to find Ancient Ward and Punch Through. Now, Ancient Ward is another attack for our Beast Tyrant with attack 2, range 4, target 2, and disarm. So, the disarm is really nice. But again, this is kind of maybe enemies spawned near the Beast Tyrant and he's in trouble. This is the card you use to kind of give yourself an extra turn to get away. But otherwise, it's really not that useful in general, the attack. Now, the bottom, heal 4, range 4, a lot more useful with the whole using Borrowed Essence to restore health, and then we can use this to heal something that we took health from. However, at level 4 right now, I think Punch Through is the better card for us to take because it is a command on top for attack 3, pierce 4, which will really, really help us on those shielded enemies with our bear, where he'll be able to actually punch through those shields and do some damage to them. And then the bottom is a move 3 for our Beast Tyrant, and he adds +1 attack to all commands this round. So, you know, this is a good card to use before we use a top command attack for our bear, and we get to move our Beast Tyrant at the same time. So I like Punch Through. That's one I would take right now. And then we're going to swap out Spirit Swap for that. Put Punch Through in. And then we'll move on to level 5. And at level 5, we'll find either Rampage or Stone Sigil. So Rampage, attack 2, move 2, attack 2, move 2, attack 2 for our bear. Gain 2 XP, it burns. And then the bottom, any one summoned ally performs move and attack +0 with you controlling the actions. So this just gives a summoned ally an extra turn, essentially, but you get to control what they do. And then the top is just a really good like move attack, kind of hit multiple things, finish off a lot of things potentially with the bear. However, Stone Sigil is the card we're going to take here. We have to take this card if we want to keep our bear alive. Summon Monolith. It has 15 health, shield 2, activates grass when you call it in, 2 XP. So this card is the health pool for our bear and for anything else. For ourselves, if we're using other summons, this is what we pull health from to heal all of our other summons. And then the bottom is a command, move 5. Nice for a bear, but we'll be using the top of this one for sure. So we're going to take Stone Sigil. And Disorienting Roar will have to come out at this point, put that one in. So what happens now with Stone Sigil is we'll plant this out there early. Like on probably turn 2 or 3, we'll put this out. And then we can use Borrowed Essence to take health away from the Monolith and give it to our bear. So our bear by this level, what are we at, level 4? Level 5. By level 5, he probably has, I think it's 18 health. 18 health that our bear will have. So Stone Sigil is almost going to double his potential health. He can take a bunch of hits in one turn. And then you can use Borrowed Essence. Like say he's down 6, 7 health. Use Borrowed Essence. Give him 6 or 7 health back from your summoned Monolith. And then use a card like Disappearing Wounds to heal yourself after taking 4 health from you to give back to your Monolith. So take 6 health away from the Monolith, take 4 health away from yourself, and give it either to the bear or back to the Monolith, and then heal yourself for 4. And I mean, you can really keep your bear up for a long time by playing the health game. You just move the damage around, move health around between all of your summoned allies, yourself, and you can keep the bear alive. This is how the bear becomes a tank and is able to stay in the game. So for me, I would say Stone Sigil is an essential card to playing the Beast Tyrant. So let's go ahead and move on now to level 6. Primal Blessing or Blood Hunger are the cards for level 6. Primal Blessing is a heal 2, range 4, target 3. So, you know, really good for spreading around health. It's 6 health spread around, so if you could get this on yourself, the bear, and another summoned ally, then you could take 6 health to give back to your bear, potentially. But again, it's a range 4 from your Beast Tyrant, so its usefulness could be limited. The bottom, a move 2, swap positions with your bear, and move 2. This one is a very niche situation where you might need it, but it is useful if you're in that situation, and that is if you're on one of those maps where you have to escape. Your bear has probably been staying up with your allies because it's been going after enemies the whole time. Once you get to the end of the map where you need to escape, you simply trade places with your bear, walk to the escape hex, and you're done. So this is a good way to get through those scenarios, which can be tricky with your limited movement with the Beast Tyrant. However, the other card, Blood Hunger, is your more overall useful card, as the top is after your bear's next 5 attacks, it performs a heal 2 self action. So this is heal 10 over the next, 5 attacks, which is really good, again, for keeping the bear alive and tanking. However, the bottom is an attack 3, heal 3 self for the bear, and gain 1 XP. So I would probably use this for the bottom more often because I get that attack off and get the heal at the same time. And plus, this is a good one since it's an attack on the bottom. It's a good one to combine with Energizing Strike because we could get that Strengthen going and then attack 3 with Strengthen active. So we're going to take Blood Hunger here. And we're going to take out Disappearing Wounds. Now, I know we lose a little bit of the healing there, but we're adding healing to our bear himself by taking this card. So it should be fine. Then we'll go ahead and move on to level 7, where we're going to find Storm Sigil or Tyrannical Force. So level 7 is a crappy level for the Beast Tyrant. I don't really like either of these cards. So Summon Wind Totem, it has 8 health, it attacks 1, it doesn't move, and it targets all adjacent enemies with a push 2. So if anything gets next to it, it's going to hit him for 1 and push him away. But the problem is if anything gets next to it, it's probably going to be dead because we're at level 7 now, and enemies are going to be hitting for 5, 6, 7 damage. I mean, they're going to take this thing out really quickly. The only thing I would see is you might want to take this one as another health pool for your bear using Borrowed Essence. Another 8 health to spread around could be really powerful. So you might want to take it for that reason. And then the bottom is an attack 4 command. And then the other one is Tyrannical Force, attack 3, range 3, and stun, activates grass. That's a really powerful move. I would normally take that one. However, it's for the Beast Tyrant, who will probably not be in range most of the time. And then the bottom, all summoned allies within range 3 perform move -1 with you controlling the actions. So that's just kind of manipulate your allies, the summoned allies around, which again, you're probably not going to be very close to them. So not that useful. So I think what we'll do at level 7 is we could go back and take Ancient Ward because we could get that heal 4, range 4 on the bottom if we need the extra health going on. Or we could take Storm Sigil for the 8 health pool to spread around with our Borrowed Essence. So either way, I'm going to say we take Ancient Ward just because giving 4 health back is better than 8 health that we can't replenish. So we're actually going to go back and take Ancient Ward here. However, I'm not going to plug it in for anything. This would be a situation where, as we're playing, if we see like, yeah, we need more health, more healing, then I might take something else out and attack somewhere to add Ancient Ward in. But for now, we're just going to take it, let it sit there, and let's go ahead and move on to level 8, where at level 8 we'll find Lash Out and Natural Remedy. So Lash Out is our command, attack 4, target all adjacent enemies. So this is really good. This is really good for the bear because he's going to find himself surrounded by enemies a lot, and being able to attack 4 on all of them is really powerful. And then the bottom is a command, move 3, push 2, target all adjacent enemies. So we can get our move 3, push 2 back that we lost when we took out Forceful Swipe. So I really like Lash Out here. And then Natural Remedy is a heal 5, range 3. If we have wind, it becomes heal 6 at range 4. You gain an experience point. And then the bottom is a move 4, you strengthen an adjacent ally. But that's for the Beast Tyrant, of course. I think damage-wise, now there could be an argument for taking the heal to keep everything alive if you need it. But at this point, we're probably okay. We'll probably take Lash Out just for the extra attack and damage. And then we'll take Howling Bolts out to add that one in. And then we'll go ahead and move on to level 9, where we find Jaws of Death and Tribal Sigil. So, Jaws of Death, command card. So for your bear, kill one adjacent normal enemy whose current hit point value is less than or equal to 6 and you gain 1 XP. So this is a nice instant kill for anything that's almost dead, that's a normal enemy. Gets them out of the way, saves you a turn or two maybe. So that's really good. The bottom is another command where we attack for 2, we push 3, and then we can move 3, attack for 2 again, gain 1 XP. So this has a good, like, attack one enemy, push them out of the way, move after another one, or a good way to single out an enemy so our bear isn't surrounded by enemies, because we could push that enemy 3 away from everybody else and then charge him with the move 3 and just do a one-on-one duel up there with him. So I really like this as a combat card. And then Tribal Sigil, again, is another summons. So summon Spirit Banner. It has 8 health. All adjacent allies add +2 attack to all their attacks. Now, the logistics of actually having all of your allies be adjacent to this thing to actually get a benefit out of it feel are very difficult to set up. Honestly, you'd probably just use this as a health pool for the 8 health more than anything else again. And then the bottom, though, will allow us to recover 2 of our burned cards that have summon actions on them. So if you did play the summoner route, this is a way you could get those summons back. But I really think the way I've seen it played and the way I've played the Beast Tyrant, in my opinion, I think the best way to do it is really just to power up your bear, use your bear as a tank, and that's really the strongest way I think to play this character. Overall, the Beast Tyrant isn't really that strong outside of the bear. If you don't have the bear, if your bear dies, you're basically done. So definitely keep the bear alive. I'm going to go with Jaws of Death here. And then we'll take out Maul to put Jaws of Death in. And there's our level 9 build for the Beast Tyrant. So let's go ahead and talk about items now, even though there's really not a lot of items that are useful for the Beast Tyrant because most of the items have to do with powering you up, not a summons. So like a power potion will not work for your bear. Even though when you're commanding him, it's his attack, which means the power potion doesn't work. It only works if you are attacking, your Beast Tyrant is attacking. To the best of my knowledge, if I remember correctly, that's the way it works because the bear's the one attacking and you can't give the bear the potion. So it really limits what we can use item-wise. So as far as head items go, I would say Amulet of Life would be your best bet for the Beast Tyrant because it's another way to get 1 health back to transfer back to your bear. And then for your armor items, now there's a couple of options down here. So you have the Robes of Summoning. If you do happen to get your hands on those during your campaign, you know, it's a heal 2, target any summoned ally. So it's a good way to get healing back out there again for your bear. But also the other option could be Second Skin, because you could remove 2 -1s from your modifier deck. Now, this is only useful to a point, because eventually you'll remove those negative modifiers with your perks. But until you do, this could be a good way to give you some early game or early level power up for your attacks for your bear. And then if you're worried about taking damage, of course, you could always do leather armor or the flea bitten shawl or something. But really, as a Beast Tyrant, once you get into round 2 or 3 of a map, you probably haven't moved. So you're not going to be getting targeted anymore. And then moving on to our hand items, again, it's really hard to pick out anything that's super useful for the Beast Tyrant. Personal use-wise, piercing bow, because you have a lot of range attacks, but again, it's going to be of little use most of the time. There is the Mountain Hammer. If you happen to pick that up, it calls in a summons. So you don't have to use a card or anything. It just calls in a free summons. It's another health pool for you to use for your bear. You know, and then maybe it does some damage, maybe it dies real quick, but it doesn't really cost you anything to use it. And then the only other thing is, you know, maybe if you need to create elements for some reason, you could take that, be support for your team. But overall, there's really not a whole lot of good options for hand items. And then moving on to our feet. Now for feet, our mobility is extremely limited. If we look at our cards over here and we try to look at the ones that we've taken, there's no movement. There's no movement. There's no movement. No movement. There's a move 5. There's a move 3. No movement. No movement. No movement. And no movement for our Beast Tyrant. So we have a move 5 and a move 3, and everything else is going to be a basic move. And even if we put all the move cards in we have for our actual Beast Tyrant, we would still only add in another move 3 and I think a move 5. Yes. And that would be it. So mobility is a huge problem for the Beast Tyrant. So I would always recommend going with... Now early on, the Boots of Striding, yeah, +2 to a movement, but once you get them unlocked, Comfortable Shoes. Make all your base moves 3. That'll be far more useful. You'll get far more movement out of it than you will being able to use a Boots one time, between each long rest. So Comfortable Shoes and their upgrade later, that's the way I would go with shoes for the Beast Tyrant. And then finally, for our small items, there's a couple of options that we could potentially use here. So obviously, any kind of healing potion would be great to give us health back that we can then forward on to our bear. A stamina potion could be good to get certain cards back. That's always a good choice. And then as far as other things, I like the Ring of Brutality and Haste. Once you get those unlocked, they allow you to play either a second top card or a second bottom card at the end of your turn. So these can be really good for giving your bear some extra movement to get back out of danger or another attack to finish someone off. So I like those. If you do happen to pick up the Ring of Skulls through your playthrough, that's also a good one because it's another summons that you can use to use as a health pool and as a distraction. So things like that, or support things maybe where like the Scroll of Stamina to give an ally discarded cards back. It does range 5, so you might be able to get it to use it a little bit more, but it's still going to be hard with your movement with Beast Tyrant to be super supportive of your team. So those are some ideas that you could use for the Beast Tyrant. But item-wise, it is hard because you're not going to be using your character so much as your summoned bear most of the time. So with that said, let's go ahead and look at the Beast Tyrant's perks. So he does have Resilient, so we can ignore the negative scenario effects. Of course, we want to take that one first. We can remove 2 -1s, and we're going to do that. And then we can replace -1s with +1s, and we can do that 3 times. So we'll do that all 3 times. And now we're looking good. This is the best we can do as far as limiting negative cards. At this point, we can't get rid of this -2 or a miss card. So that's the best we can do there, but we're getting lots of pluses now. And we can make that even better by taking out 0s and adding in +2s. We can do that twice. And then we can add more +1s with +1 wounds and +1 immobilizes. And then we can move on to, I would probably go the heal cards, the rolling heal cards first. Get all 3 of those. And then take the activate grass cards last. And there you have your modifiers at the end. Once you're fully maxed out, are pretty good. You have mostly +1s, a couple extra +2 there. So you should be doing some decent damage overall with the bear, not missing too often. But with that said, that's all we've got on the Beast Tyrant. So Beast Tyrant, again, not one of my favorite classes because I feel like he is difficult and challenging to use. It's a fun idea. It was a cool idea to have this summons-based character like this with a big major summons. Now, I didn't mention this at the beginning of the video. The bear does have tank health. He does have, and he levels up like a tank. So he at the end of his levels, he'll have like 20, I think it's 24 or 26 health they max out with. So he makes a good tank, but he's hard to control. He wants to do his own thing. This is a character that I would say try it, but just be ready to be disappointed that, he may not play the way you want him to play. But with all that said, remember to like, subscribe, all that YouTube stuff. Check out this video down here if you want to continue watching the guide series. And thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and keep on gaming.